Hey there, emerging expat. You're tuned in to Let's Move to Portugal. I'm Victoria from ExpatsEverywhere's podcast, and I have the distinct honor of bringing you, YouTube travelers, and our resident of Portugal experts, ExpatsEverywhere's Josh and Kaylee. Each week they'll inspire, they'll educate, and they'll accompany you on your journey to Portuguese residency. This week on Let's Move to Portugal, Nicoletta shares her transformative journey from Germany to Portugal, detailing her experiences with the Camino de Santiago and how the kindness of the Portuguese people made her feel at home in Porto. To keep this podcast going strong, we've included a few brief ads. Thanks for supporting us by listening.
We're very happy that SavvyCat Realty wanted to support us and sponsor the podcast, as we're actually clients of theirs.
When we started our journey to purchase our property in Portugal back in 2022, they came right alongside us in the process.
SavvyCat Realty provides a highly tailored service to supporting those relocating to Portugal. Their mission is to find you the best match in continental Portugal. Their local experts will guide you through the whole process, keeping sustainability for both sides.
They have a full local team, including agents, lawyers, and engineers, making sure you are safe. And as locals, they believe fair prices are good for both sides.
And SavvyCat Realty works with both rentals and purchases with budgets from $50K to millions, always making sure it's worth the cost.
Book a free call at savvycatrealty.com and have them on your side planning your move to Portugal.
Hey, expats and travelers alike, welcome back to Expats presents Let's Move to Portugal podcast. Kaylee, how you doing?
I'm stopped up, congested. I don't know if it's like the temperature change that happened, but remember a couple of years ago, I was like this, like all winter.
Yes.
Actually, for a couple winters in a row. I had a really good run there, but now congestion, maybe allergies, who knows? But other than that, I'm doing all right. How are you?
I think the fan was on you, so I think that could have been
driving me out.
Yeah, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'm doing pretty well. It is a Monday here, so you're listening on a Tuesday, but we record on Mondays, these weekly welcomes. Obviously, some craziness happening back in the U.S., several events, and heart really breaks for what's happening there. Felt a lot of different emotions, like I'm sure many people listening have felt. But switching gears, talking about Portugal, there's some interesting non-news that seems to be coming out of Portugal. So we had expected there to be an immigration update.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the
like
parliament. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised that like they haven't. I mean, okay, they're on recess and everything, but it felt like they were just moving things along so quickly in July.
Yes,
they would really be on it and already have plans and everything, and they don't. So all I can say, we still don't have much of an update, but they will be meeting at some point, and who knows. Sounds like they're going to be putting some stuff off, maybe with the golden visa that might be pushed a little bit, maybe not. But again, like I said last week, you'd imagine the first thing on the docket is going to be the stuff that did not get passed in July, right? And then how fast will they get through that? Who knows? So really not much of an update yet, but hopefully we'll have more soon.
Yeah, I mean, the speculation is that it was connected to a tragedy that happened in Portugal. I guess it was 2 weeks ago now. Or a week and a half ago with the Gloria tram.
The tram trolley that was very sad. That happened in Lisbon.
Yeah. So those things could be connected. They've kind of postponed these discussions about that because of what happened. But at any rate, we're still kind of in the same holding pattern as we were in terms of information about what is going to be done when it comes to immigration. Not really even immigration. It's more like the citizenship by naturalization time period.
That's a big one. I mean, there's
a few other things.
Immigration, I mean, a lot more around like family reunification and everything. But I think the one that affects a lot of us who are already here or who are planning on moving or we're thinking, hey, I just need to be in Portugal 5 years and then I can get citizenship and then go from there. Like that's a big one that will affect a lot of us as well. So everyone's kind of waiting for that. But it is immigration too, some stuff. But in other news, if you have a boat or a yacht off the coast of the Iberian Peninsula, watch out for the orcas. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's happening in Spain, Gibraltar, and along Portugal. I guess the whales are getting closer to the coast and bumping some of these, which is causing them to take on water. No one's been hurt or anything, but boats have sunk.
Yeah, well,
it's crazy.
It almost seems like they're toying with these boats.
I think it is like a toy, right? Kind of funny. So I don't know if that's hit news where you are, but that's news over here.
But no one's lost their lives.
No, everyone's been rescued. It's been fine, but
Boats have not been
Boats have
salvaged. I guess
have
some
had
of them.
issues. So I guess make sure you have good boating insurance. I think that's a thing, right?
I would assume so, although I don't know if whale damage
Yeah.
covers you.
Can you imagine that's like one of the things that the
That you're
insurance comes like,
excluded?
gotcha. You're not covered by whales.
Yeah.
Should be, though. I mean, it's always a possibility.
Yeah, I want to throw this out there. You're wearing a very nice top right now.
Yes, if you can see me on YouTube, this is Porto's newest away jersey. I love the color. It's such an upgrade from last year's color, which was that terrible orange look.
Yeah, that was
But
shocking.
this is like more, which is kind of funny.
This
It's
is
similar.
coral? Is that what we're going
I
to
don't
call
know.
it?
I was going to call it salmon, but I suppose you could call it coral. I really like the color and the cut of the collar. So it's nice. I can wear it out. It's kind of.
I'm going to get that third jersey soon.
You keep saying that.
And I like the collar of it because it's not the color, but the collar. Actually, the color's okay. It's white, but it's this like weird off-white.
Eggshell or off-white.
Yeah.
So it's
around,
dingy white.
I'm going to walk around like I'm a wall, like eggshell white.
Yeah.
But no, the collar of it is really nice. And there's this stitching in it. It's not quite like azulejos, but it is this kind of like blue intricate design. I'll wear it one day on the podcast. So if you're watching, you can see it. If you're listening, hopefully I've described it well enough.
Yeah. Or you just go look it up online. But if you want to see Josh in it, then you got to watch.
Yeah.
Or get some pictures on Instagram for it.
That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. In other news, on September 11th, we formally submitted our application for citizenship.
Yay!
And then I think that we talked about it last week that we have to wait until our current residency cards are within 90 days of expiring before we can then start the permanent residency process. And the reason that we have to do that is because while you're waiting for citizenship, which is taking like over 2 years at the moment, to get your formally
passport.
receive the passport
and birth
and then that get you the cartão de cidadão,
Yep.
which basically, I mean, at that point it's like you are a Portuguese citizen.
Yeah. Can't wait to get that card.
So within the 90 days of your card expiring, you can apply for permanent residency, which you need to have some sort of residency during that time period while you're waiting.
After you've applied for citizenship. Yeah. You can't just do citizenship because you do need to show the intent that you're actually still living here.
Yeah, if you want to keep living here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
But that's another thing, that the time frame of this is something that Parliament is supposed to be talking about as well sometime this fall. But the times are all skewed. And I'm sure if you're already here and you look at your, the date on your residency card, it's going to be different from the date you arrived. It could be months different, which is what happened to us, what happens to a lot of people. But then they're also trying to give that back to you in hindsight. But now they're looking about changing that. So there's like all these changes. But that's why we're January, because we arrived in the fall, but we didn't actually at that point with SEF have that SEF appointment till January, and then the card was issued. But because of the current law, you can apply for citizenship when you put your intent in to show that you're moving, as long as you were approved.
Mm-hmm.
That's something they're looking to change. But then that's why we can't do the permanent residency for 90 days yet, because of what our card actually says. But we're going to be doing a video on that as well on Expats Everywhere. So in a few weeks, maybe a month or so, we can start that process, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of document what that looks like.
And we've already started the process of making the video for the citizenship, at least the first part of the citizenship.
Of course,
vlog.
That's going to be like
because it's going to be, exactly. It's going to be kind of a long, drawn out thing.
Yeah.
Right?
So that one will actually go in a couple weeks. What you need for citizenship.
I hope
That's
as long as I can keep getting time to edit. That'd be nice. We just put out a video on the main channel with Mako. She is a Japanese young lady.
Yeah. Living in Lisbon.
That lives in Lisbon. And she came in on an interesting visa that like people under 31 can take advantage of. So that's cool.
Yep. And then upcoming, we've got Cal de Chahenya, a city guide that's coming out. We were there, so we know that's a popular place. It's growing for expats, so we do a breakdown there.
Yep. Okay, so this week's episode is talking a lot about the Camino.
Yes, which is a very popular, really all in Europe. But if you come to Portugal or Spain, even France, and a lot of people want to walk the Camino.
Yeah, I think it's something that we've done while traveling, but we haven't done the Camino in terms of, and I say the Camino, we actually, Nicoletta and I talk about this in the episode, but In terms of like making the journey, we have only in cities that we see that there's a way, the St. James
shell,
way. The little shell symbols, like we'll follow that path. We used to do this all the time when we lived in Spain. We would go to a city, we would get the city maps. I mean, this was like kind of before GPS. But we would get, like the tangible paper maps, and then we would kind of walk across the city following the path. Which was very fun to do.
And that's definitely something you can do. You can do parts of it, right? You don't have to be like, I'm leaving for 7 days and I'm walking for 7 days. You don't necessarily have to do that. That's not really my style. So
I know it's not, which is why we haven't done it yet.
In a city and walk part of it, which is cool too. So there's different ways you can do it. But Nicoletta she helps people with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's done quite a few different routes, and she started this company that plans for people. She provides information on where to stay, how to make it, the support emotionally and medically as well for some people.
Oh, that's good.
Kind of a whole basket of like services that are offered all in one. But the information that she provides in the episode today is great for people that have no idea about the Camino and are interested in learning more. But we also talk about her journey to Portugal.
Right, because she's an expat who lives here as well.
Yeah, she's moved from Germany to Portugal, and kind of the reasons the why behind that. And just a fun episode, certainly for me to learn more. Like I was curious because I've never actually differentiated between the different Caminos and what is a Camino and all that stuff.
Great. Well, let's get to it.
Let's do it. We know that relocating can be stressful. Trust us, Portugal is the 5th country we've relocated to.
So it's nice to have someone helping you out, which is why we can confidently recommend Global International Relocation, which is a leading provider of relocation, moving, and mobility services.
They can support individuals, families, and even businesses when it comes to moving internationally.
I like how they're able to simplify the relocation process, and they help with everything you can think of, and actually even those things that you don't think of.
Of course, you have the immigration side of things, but there are aspects like pet relocation, shipping your car, moving household goods, and settling in that are all things they assist with. They're really comprehensive when it comes to mobility.
With over 17 years of experience and having expertise in over 180 countries, they aren't just for your move to Portugal.
So for personalized assistance, visit global.pt or get in touch with us for an introduction and to receive a personalized relocation quote. One of the most important pre-move things to consider involves your finances. Here's the cool thing. If you've moved already, it's not too late.
Yeah, that's right, because we met John a little late in our journey, but he certainly helped us make sure that we're on the right track.
John McNerney from Green Ocean Advisors is an American living in Lisbon with an office in San Francisco, which helps him have a pulse on both sides of the pond. John helps people understand where they're at before they take the plunge and move abroad.
As a financial advisor, John can help you understand your financial position no matter what stage of life you're in, whether you're curious about what your realistic retirement date is or how to invest your money post-retirement.
His love for finance and the differences between US and Europe have given him the ability to guide his clients in the right direction when it comes to investing and allocating funds. For example, you might want to sell your house before you become a tax resident here in Portugal, so you're not paying additional taxes here.
Josh and I have even talked to him on several occasions about some major life events that have happened to us and how to navigate them smartly from a financial perspective. If you'd like to be put in touch with John from Green Ocean Global, click on his Calendly link below to schedule a free consultation that he provides our viewers to see if he's the right fit for you.
Just make sure that you choose the Expats Everywhere intro call for your free consultation. Nicoletta, I'm looking really forward to diving into this conversation about your journey to Portugal, but also like your pre-journey that started in Portugal on the Camino and really prompted your move to Porto. So we're going to talk about kind of all of those things and then how it maybe sparked you to start a business. So where are you from? And tell us just a little about yourself before we fully dive in.
Hi, I'm Nicoletta, and I am from Germany. I spent my whole life in the same city in Germany, which is Bonn. It has around the size of Porto, and it's pretty unknown for that it has been the capital for a long time. And I moved directly from Bonn to Porto around 3 years ago.
Okay. Well, I think that an interesting fact about you that I believe many people in our audience can resonate from is you've said that you kind of lived in a 10-kilometer radius and never really went outside of that radius. And then you decided to move to Portugal. So, like, what was that like?
It was a very interesting experience. So actually the reason why I never left this 10-kilometer radius was that I wouldn't say that I was really too afraid to go somewhere else, but it was always that it wasn't bad enough to leave. So I had my happy life, which was completely in Bonn, family there, friends there. And yeah, Bonn is a nice city, so there was no reason to leave. But yeah, it's too small to spend 40 years there. It's not like New York City that changes all the time and you live in a new kind of city every 10 years. No, Bonn was the same after 40 years. And then there was no other city in Germany that I dreamt of. So many people dream of living in Berlin, but that was never for me. So when really the time came where it felt like it's time for a change, it's time to start new. Yeah, then I just thought, what is the only city where I've ever been that gave me, the feeling of that it could become a home. And that was Porto. So, yes.
So that journey started, I believe, in 2017. You took your first trip on the Camino. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't my first time in Portugal at all. I've been like on a weekend trip to Lisbon in 2015 or so, but I never really thought about Portugal. It was just, one of these vacation countries where some people go to the Algarve, but I could have never imagined at that point that one day I'm going to live here. So it was actually really, I walked my first Camino de Santiago in 2017, and it was the Camino from Porto to Santiago. So I just took the plane and ended in Porto. I had one extra day before I started my Camino where I just strolled through the city, and I thought like, yeah, it's nice, but I think Lisbon is nicer. And it didn't really fully get me. But after my Camino, I had another 3 days in Porto. And when I then came back from Santiago to Porto, I already had a little of this tiny feeling of coming home. Where I thought like, oh, this is weird. Why does Porto feel so different 2 weeks after my first visit here? And that actually increased every time that I came back to Porto. Every time I came back, it really felt more and more like a home. And then 5 years after my first visit here, I moved. And after moving here, it really took 3 weeks to make it feel more as a home than Bonn ever did.
Whoa. Okay. I definitely want to touch on that, but I'm curious because earlier you said that Portugal was like one of these vacation countries. Is that a stigma that it has from Germans or other Europeans that you've met, that people look at it as more like a place that you go when you're on holiday?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like there are not many Germans in Portugal, maybe some German retirees at the Algarve, but it's not a country where Germans move to. And also it's not really that much a holiday country for the Germans. So Germans usually go on holiday to Italy, Spain, and France. So these are the typical European destinations for us. And Portugal, I never really thought about that country. It's a small country next to Spain and too far to drive there. So, I never thought of going on a holiday here. It was just really this weekend trip when someone told me, oh, you have to see Lisbon. It's like an undiscovered gem. A secret place to go. Maybe it was in 2015.
At the time, yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so between 2017 and then your eventual move in 2022, like what was happening there in your life, and then what kept bringing you back to Portugal?
It was actually really this love. So I totally fell in love with the Camino. My first Camino really changed my whole life, and I really started coming back again and again. So my next Camino, I think my first was in April. So I already returned in this year in October to go on Camino only for a week. And then in the next spring, I went on the Camino and started it in Lisbon because I loved Portugal so much that I wanted to see more of Portugal. And the Camino actually starts in Lisbon, but most of the people start walking in Porto. And then I walked from Lisbon, and I saw Coimbra and Tomar and all these small towns in Portugal. And it always felt like when I reached the border, when it was time to go to Spain, I didn't want to leave Portugal. I felt so good in this country that I always thought, oh, it's so bad that now I have the next week in Spain and can't stay in Portugal. Yeah,
Okay.
I just fell totally in love with Portugal and with the Camino. But at that time, I could have never imagined moving here, because for me, moving abroad, that wasn't for people like me. It was for this adventurous people, for this, I don't know, not for like normal people like me who have their small little universe in this German city.
Well, what do you think it takes for someone that is like you, that isn't, let's say, super adventurous and feels more comfortable in like a very known environment? Like, what were some of the steps that you took to kind of break out of that? Because you moved in a relatively short space of time.
Yes, absolutely. So I think what was a little part of it is what happened to many people. It was during COVID that we all started to question our life a little. And, but the main thing actually was that I had my happy, settled life in Bonn with a loving husband, with a nice house, then in the suburbs, with a wonderful dog that stayed with us for 13 years. I had my job, I had my friends, everything was fine. And actually what brought up the energy for this change was my dog passing away. So she was like, I don't have kids. She was my little baby for 13 years. And out of the blue, she just died. And my now ex-husband, at that time husband, we're just sitting there. And so I'm like, what are we doing here? We're in a house with a huge garden in the suburbs, being in our 40s. And now we don't have a reason anymore for this house and the garden in the suburbs. So do we really want to sit here and wait for our retirement, and then we're retired and then we wait for our death? Is this really the plan for the rest of our lives? And actually, without, as horrible as it was that our dog passed away, it also came up with a lot of energy. And also, we've never been able to travel together by plane. So usually my ex-husband stayed home with the dog while I've been out. And then I just told him, I want to show you Porto. Now we can fly to Porto together. So that is actually what we did, that 2 weeks after or so. It was still during COVID in 2021, so it was a little complicated, but we just flew over and we stayed for 1 month in Porto, in the city center, with an apartment which looked into the Via Catarina, and we've been in the middle of everywhere. And it wasn't like that we talked about, oh, shall we move abroad? It was more, oh, we should get out for a while. And this is what we did. And while we've been staying in Porto, I just thought, I hope that he falls in love with Porto too. And he did. So really, after this month, I asked him, could you imagine living here? And our initial plan was to just come here for a year or half a year. But when we started researching, we figured out that it doesn't really make a difference, because when you're out of the country for more than half a year, you become a tax resident, you need to do this and that. And then it felt like, yeah, but then we can just go. Then if the bureaucracy, if we have to go through all that, then we can go for an unlimited time. So yeah,
Okay,
it
so
was half a year between like bringing him here, showing him Porto, and then leaving everything behind and moving here for good.
nice. Well, it's interesting you bring up bureaucracy because I think that's a theme that continues to pop up on the podcast episodes when we talk about people moving. But you being German and having an EU passport, you have a little bit of an easier path because you don't have to get a residency visa. So what was your process like and why was it still challenging? And why have you still been challenged with some of the bureaucratic things?
I think, yes, it's easier for me as a European than for the Americans, but mainly I don't have to prove that many things. So in general, I have the right to live in every European country and work in every European country. I think this is the main thing. It's a lot easier for me to work here. But yeah, I had to get all these numbers for the social security system, for the health. I needed my family doctor and all this stuff. So I think I had as many appointments as you had.
Okay.
But yeah, the thing with the Portuguese bureaucracy, and I think other people mentioned it before, the problem is that you never know what you get. So I still haven't figured out if I have to exchange my driving license or not. Because on the website from, I don't know, the city of Porto are completely different informations than on the IMT website. And I still don't know.
I'm still trying to get my physical card and I've been here 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a number and everything, but that's a whole separate issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a German, I'm used to a lot of bureaucracy, and many people coming here are surprised how much you really have to do in person. And that wasn't a big deal for me because the bureaucracy in German, not only that it's worse than in Portugal, it's less chaotic, but it's still a lot of bureaucracy. You have to print everything out. You have to bring the print out somewhere. There's nothing digital in Germany. We even use fax. So it's...
Oh, man.
So yeah, I think I was a lot more used to this bureaucratic stuff than the Americans coming here, but it was still surprisingly a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like we could all take a page from the Estonians and just digitalize everything. Yeah. Okay. So you've had to deal with some of that bureaucratic stuff. And did you try to DIY the process yourself or did you get help from others? What did you do there?
I figured it out myself and actually I regret it. So
okay.
I didn't know that it was that much. So I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to read a little, and I expected it to be more clear, that there would be a clear path to follow, that there are guides online that tell me, oh, you just go here and then whatever. And that wasn't the case. So I made many mistakes. I had problems with the Portuguese financials after I started my freelancing here, just because I made a mistake in the form, because I thought I can do it on my own with the help of a Portuguese friend. And yes, I just shouldn't have done it. I should have just from the beginning said, okay, someone who knows how it all works out should guide me through. And because I spent so many hours in which I could have worked. So
that's the thing. It's a trade-off of time or money, right? So
yes,
you could have just paid a service to get the thing done and therefore had your time back to work and earn income and probably out-earn what you spent in time. I would hope anyways, because it is like a heavily time bureaucratic process as well. Okay, let's shift back to this idea of home and really falling in love with Porto. Can you explain that feeling? I know it might be difficult, but like, what were some of the elements that made you feel at home here?
This is a really good question. I don't know. The city has some atmosphere that is, I mean, of course, it's a lot the people. The Portuguese people are just incredibly nice people. And I sometimes really wonder why. Because if I when I see how the tourists are behaving here, I really wonder how they can still be so nice. But actually they are. So when I moved here and I found my first apartment, I went to a flowers and plant shop a few houses away, and the guy was so nice, and he just explained to me how I can set up my MBWay system so that I can do payments with my phone. And he spoke English, so his colleague didn't. So he always asked me when I come back so that he can be there to help me in English. And I just struggled with the ATM because I got a parking ticket and I didn't understood the system. And it just said you can pay it from the ATM, and I had absolutely no idea what I'm doing. But the woman behind me just helped me with this, and this is just incredibly nice. The Portuguese people are so wonderful people. But I think it's more than the people. There's also something about the atmosphere of the city. It's just something what I heard from many other people moving here too, that it really takes only a few weeks and then you land again at Porto Airport, you leave the airplane and just think like, oh, home.
I'm home. Yeah. It's definitely kind of our feeling and take on Porto as well, where very first time we visited here, we fell in love. It was 2010, and we arrived here, and just it's a feeling in the air. And then you start to talk to people, you start to talk to locals, and not even build relationships with them, but just like your first interactions are generally pleasant or beyond pleasant in that they're helping you do something and taking a moment out of their day to help a complete stranger, a foreigner. And it's incredible. So I think, the people are the backbone of Porto for sure, but there's something magical about the way things look here, and maybe the climate as well. Like usually the weather's good. Sometimes it gets a bit hot, but if it's hot here, then it's really hot in other parts of the country. So yeah, I totally agree with you. So your journey on the Camino, let's talk about that. First and foremost, for our listener who has no idea what the Camino is, what is the Camino?
So actually, the Camino doesn't exist. So people speak about the Camino de Santiago, and usually they mean the Camino Frances, which is the most popular one, which is from the Spanish-French border and around 800 kilometers to Santiago. But there are several Caminos. So you can also start a Camino in Germany. And so all these, it's a net of ways that in the end leads to Santiago de Compostela in Galicia. And in the end, it's a pilgrimage. So it's a historic pass or several historic passes that people walk. And it has been a religious thing, but it's not really anymore. So the Camino is still a spiritual thing, but not necessarily religious. So most of the people, they pack a backpack, pack their essentials, choose their starting point, which can be in Spain at the French border or Lisbon, Porto, and then walk for a few weeks. Just with the basics on their back, sleep in albergues or in hotels, whatever they prefer. So you can do like a budget Camino where you sleep in dorms and bunk beds, or you can also sleep in fancy hotels if you want that. In the end, it's just about walking, spending time with yourself, meeting people from all over the world, finding answers to questions you may have had before you started. And in the end, that's a Camino. It's just walking.
And the walk, is it taking you through different towns and villages, or are there large stretches where it's just kind of like wide open expanses, or are you going through more like wooded forest areas, or does it completely depend on the route that you take?
It's just a mixture. So usually you have then 1-2 kilometers of forest here, or on the Camino Portuguese, you have also a coastal version where you mainly walk along the coast. And yeah, I mean, you always have towns along the way. You also have some cities along the way. But when you walk your 20, 25 kilometers per day or 15 miles, whatever, yeah, you have forest, you have fields, you have towns. At some point, you may have a bigger city. It's a wild mixture.
For someone like planning to do this, that's interested, what would be a kind of a recommended per day budget?
That really depends on how much you want to spend and how do you want to do your Camino. So for some people, it's really important that they do it as basic as possible, that they say it has to be very, very minimal. That means that you get from the supermarket some bread and cheese, that you really sleep. And there are albergues that are on a donation base where you can, in theory, stay for free. Or you can say like, no, I'm going to have my tapas and sushi in the evening and stay at the Hilton. So it really depends on what your kind of Camino you prefer.
So the cheapest somebody could do it would be like a couple euro if they're sleeping for free and they're going to the grocery store for simple foods.
Yeah. Indeed.
Wow.
So that makes it very attractive. Of course, it depends. When you come over to the starting point from the US or South Africa or whatever,
you got the flight.
You have the flight.
Yeah.
But if you live in Porto, you can just start your Camino from here.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like the symbol for the Camino is something that Kaylee and I have always come across. We used to live in Spain. We lived in Madrid and we traveled the whole country. And we would end up in like different cities around Spain, and we would see the markers. And oftentimes in the city, we would try to get like a tourist map and find kind of the path through the city and walk that at least. So I think we've probably walked a decent amount, at least in all of the cities. Very interesting. Okay, so what prompted you then to kind of start this business that helps people plan their Camino?
For that, I have to go back to 2016 and my nice and boring life in Bonn.
Okay.
Because actually, I never thought about the Camino before. I've heard about it, but I never thought that this could be something for me. And in 2016, I had a burnout. And I was I was a web developer before. Already self-employed and was relatively successful. It wasn't my dream, but it worked out well. So, and then I had this burnout and I was out of my job. So in the end, I lost all my clients when you're out of the job as a freelancer for over half a year. Yeah. So then I thought like, okay, how do I go on with my life? Do I really want to be a web developer again, or what shall I do? And when I felt ready to go back to work, I thought that it would be great to have some kind of ritual to close this burnout chapter and start my new life chapter, however this should look like. And then I stumbled over this Camino thing because I heard that it's the perfect place if you want to find yourself, find answers, find a new life, whatever. It's just the place to be. And I don't know. It was also on relatively short notice. I wasn't a hiking person. I wasn't a sporty person, not even a nature person. So, but I like this idea. It scared me a lot, but I like this idea. But at that time in, early 2017, there was no information out there. So now you're flooded with social media accounts and videos and blogs and people to tell you every detail about the Camino. And at that time, you could just buy a guidebook and then it spoke about, oh, here you find that church and that albergue. But I couldn't get a sense of what the hell is a Camino? What does it mean to walk a Camino? And so I did tons of research. But my issue was at that time that I still had panic attacks from time to time. I had a complex PTSD without having any idea about what that means. And especially I had no idea what does it mean to go on a Camino with so much anxiety, with the risk of having a panic attack in the middle of nowhere. And there was no one out there who could have helped me with this, because all the sources has been travel agencies. No, thank you. That wasn't helpful in any way, because I didn't need someone who can book a hotel for me. I needed someone who could guide me, who could really tell me about what it means to be on a Camino and what to do if you have a panic attack in the middle of the forest. And it didn't exist. So when I did my first Camino, I really struggled a lot. It was an incredibly great experience. It was life-changing. It helped me so much, but I could have had a much better experience if there would have been someone in the background I can contact. So someone who knows the Camino, someone who knows about the mental health struggles I had. And yeah, coming back from this Camino, then the idea was born of supporting people with their Camino. And of course, yeah, my passion from that day on has been bringing people on Camino to help them, really, like that people who struggle with mental health, give them the support that they can do a Camino, that they can go through this life-changing few weeks, and having someone in the background who knows what it's about. And yeah, then it took a while to really prepare it and get it started. And I then started my business from Germany in January 2020, which was a perfect timing, because in March 2020, COVID hit. And really everything was closed. I had 3 clients, and then, so the Camino was officially closed and everything was locked down. And yeah, that was a little bump in the road.
Sure.
So yeah, but actually then with, this plan or this idea of moving to Porto, then it kickstarted it. So coming here, and then I said, okay, now I'm actually living on the Camino. Now it's also so much easier for me to walk together with people, because this is also what I offer. If there's really someone out there with an anxiety disorder, with a panic disorder, I can just walk the people to Santiago. And this is so much easier when you live on the Camino than when you have to travel everywhere.
Okay, I've got a bunch of technical questions right now. So first was the issue that you didn't have like someone to reach out to and call? Because essentially I'm hearing that there's kind of 2 needs, and 2 distinct needs. One on the medical mental health side, and the other one on the technical, like, where do I go on the route side? So like, was there a need for 2 separate people, entities to call? And then you just became one.
Yeah, in a way, it also would have worked out if I would have 2 separate people for both jobs. Yeah. Because the Camino planning, that's one thing. I mean, I work for everyone. I plan Caminos for everyone. There it's more that, you can go to a travel agency and book a predefined Camino, but then it's not a real Camino experience. It's like a hiking holiday, but if you do it yourself, we spoke about that with, should you pay someone who guides you through moving to a different country? Yes. Should you pay someone who plans your Camino for you? Yes. Just because it takes so much time. And there are people that just grab the backpack, start walking and see where they end. But this is just not for everyone. And it can happen that, you end somewhere and figure out, that town looks nice, but there's only one albergue and it's full. And
then what do you do?
Yeah. So, but the planning thing is actually one part. But being on Camino, it's not only for people with mental health struggles, it's for everyone. It's a very intense experience. And it's really hard. You can have a therapist in your background, but if this person has never walked the Camino, then they have absolutely no idea about how it feels to be on Camino. Because this walking all day, you don't have any job. Your only job is to walk, and the evening you have to wash your clothes and organize some food. And you're out there, you have so much time for your own thoughts. You connect with people on the way in a very, very different way. So this whole Camino experience. So they say that everybody is going to cry on Camino at some point. And it's actually true. But some people cry out of joy, and some
different
people
reasons,
just
right?
being emotionally overwhelmed from all the impressions. And it is a very intense experience. And so, yeah, if you have a therapist, it may happen that this person can't really help you because it has no idea about the Camino feeling.
What's the minimum amount of time that someone should take this journey? Like, is 3 days enough, like a 3-day weekend, or is it more like a week, 2 weeks? What do you recommend?
As long as possible. So
okay.
The Camino Frances actually takes 5 to 6 weeks, but I'm totally aware of that. Not everyone has it. So, but the Camino Portuguese, you can do it in 12 days.
How many kilometers a day?
20 to 25. Yeah. And it's actually pretty easy. So it's as a Camino Portuguese from Porto to Santiago, 12 days of short stages, 20, 25 kilometers. There are no mountains on the way. It's super flat, great infrastructure. So this is actually the perfect Camino for beginners. And of course you can do also only 1 week, but it needs some time to get into this Camino feeling. And it would be too bad if you just feel like, oh, now I have my Camino rhythm. I found my Camino self and now I have to go home. So
how long do you think the average person takes to get into that rhythm?
It really depends. So it's also for me different. I mean, I spent 4,000 kilometers on the Caminos now. And sometimes I go back on Camino and it takes me half an hour and I'm totally back in my Camino mode. And sometimes I need days. I'm still with my thoughts about, oh, what's going on at home? What do I have to do when? Which appointment is coming up? I think it's like people are also different. How long does it take them to get into vacation mode? And some people need a few days to let go of their everyday lives. And other people just need a pool and a sangria and then they're all in.
That's interesting because it made me think about, we just got back from vacation ourselves, and it's very common that when you get back from traveling, it's like you need a vacation from your vacation. So like you need a couple of days break to get back into the swing of things. Is it like that after finishing a Camino? Does it take a while to like get back into whatever normal life looks like? Or are you forever changed and there's a new normal that starts?
Both.
Okay.
No, it's actually, what's very funny is when you come back from Camino, what nearly everyone experiences is one thing that you think like, why is it so static? Because you're used to being staying in a new bed in a new town with new people every night and with moving all day. And then you're sitting in your apartment, like nothing changes. Everything is the same. That feels odd.
Yes.
But one of the really greatest thing is that nearly everyone comes back and figures out, I have way too many things. Because on Camino, you learn how little you need to be happy. You just have your backpack with 2 pairs of hiking clothes and a towel and a shampoo. And this is all you have for weeks. And then you're looking at your wardrobe and you think, who needs this? Who needs all these things? And because you really learn that the simple life that you experience on Camino it doesn't need much. So, I mean, yeah, it doesn't take long and then you enjoy all your belongings again. But this is something that nearly every pilgrim experiences. But how the Camino really changed yourself is something that you often see more over time.
Okay. And I want to touch on the different words for Camino, because there's the Spanish word that I think is universally used, but also Portuguese has a word for it that doesn't really get used. What's up with that?
Yeah. So as all the Caminos end in Spain, it's very common that the people just speak about the Camino, but officially this Camino here is called Camino Portuguese. So it has the Portuguese pronunciation, and also the greetings from the pilgrims. In Spain, you say Buen Camino, and when you're in Portugal, you have to say Bom Caminho. But yeah, I think the people more and more use only the Spanish, the Spanish versions of both.
Yeah, because I found that like it's a little confusing. Sometimes you're in a Portuguese town and you'll see a Camino meal, like the daily meal at a restaurant, where they've made a particular meal for people that are on the Camino. Anybody can order it, I think. You don't have to just be on the Camino, but there's like a special price. It's usually quite cheap. It's usually plenty of food as well, but it'll be written in Spanish as opposed to Portuguese. Not always, but I just find that humorous.
Yeah. Indeed.
Have you noticed this as well?
I actually haven't noticed it with the Camino, with the pilgrims menus. I just noticed that it feels like pilgrims feel Spanish even while they're in Portugal. So that they order their café con leche instead of their café con leite. It's and I think most of the people, when they prepare, they learn a few words of Spanish, and they just use it here in Portugal too. It's actually not very respectful to be able to say obrigada or obrigado. Would at least be nice, but yeah, it feels like the Camino is a Spanish thing, even if it also takes place in other countries.
Do you find the same phenomenon in France? Like when people are on that route? Have you taken that route yet?
I walked the Camino Frances, but so most of the people start in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, which is like right at the border. So on your first stage, you leave France, and so I have seen like 4 hours of France, and then I entered Spain. Okay, is that technically the Basque Country or no? Up in that region, it starts actually in the Basque Country. So it still feels that's a different language. It's an incredible language. Yeah, no chance to understand it at all. No. Anytime my wife and I traveled when we lived in Spain, we traveled to the Basque Country, whether we were going to Bilbao or San Sebastian or some of the smaller towns there. We always felt awkward using Spanish because Spanish was our second language anyways. So it's like we felt more comfortable operating in English as to not offend because we couldn't speak Basque. I can't even remember the word that is actually Basque. It has an X involved in it. Maybe the only word that I know is pincho, which is helpful if you're trying to get some food. Yeah. But what a crazy language. Okay, so you think it's good to have a few, if you're doing the Camino, especially starting in Portugal, it's good to have a few Portuguese words in your back pocket as to not offend. I completely agree with you. So that's a good bit of advice. Do you think most people should start in Porto for their first time, just because like they're beginners? It really depends on how much time you have. So it's always, as I said, the longer the Camino, the more chance it has to be really life-changing or to be an absolutely unforgettable experience, but it doesn't have to be. So actually, yes, the Camino from Porto to Santiago is perfect for beginners because you can do it in 2 weeks. It's not physically challenging. You have that great infrastructure. But if you have 5 or 6 weeks, then you can start in Lisbon or you can do the Camino Frances and have this real experience of just walking for 5 or 6 weeks, which is incredible itself.
It sounds completely daunting to me, but more power to those that can do it. So let's go back to 2022 when you moved to Portugal, to Porto, and then move along the timeline to 2025. How have you seen Porto change in those 3 years?
Yeah, I think what we all notice is the increase of tourism. So the hidden gem became a very
Gone.
popular destination, and
Mm.
it still feels okay. I mean, I'm living right in the middle of the city center, so in August it sometimes gets a little annoying. But actually, what I worry most about are like bachelor parties. This is because tourism itself is not an issue. If the people behave, then it's mainly, I mean, for people living in a city where there's a lot of tourism, the main issue often is that you want to go from A to B and you're blocked. Tourists walk slow and
In large
inhabitants.
packs and
Yes.
across the whole sidewalk.
Yeah, so it changed me as a tourist. So when I'm in another city now, I have a high awareness of not blocking the locals.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but in general, yes, Porto, of course, it changes. But I can't speak about Porto 10 years ago or so. My first visit in Porto was 8 years ago, and it definitely changed in this 8 years, and it changed in the 3 years I'm living here now. But it's mainly that, I would say it gets gentrified. So you have more and more hipster cafes where you can get a pumpkin chai latte instead of getting your €1.50 Meia de Leite. But I think it's just what happens. If it's a nice city, at some point the people will figure out about it.
That's it. I mean, that's the truth. Like anywhere that's nice, it gets found out and changes because of that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's worse, doesn't mean it gets better, but it just changes. So when you referred to earlier, talking about basically tourists behaving and behaving better, because you said it like you couldn't see how the locals continued to stay so nice because of the pressure from the tourists. Were you mainly referring to just tourists being unaware of their surroundings and blocking sidewalks, and maybe bachelor parties getting a little unruly? Or is there kind of something else, like tips that you can give people to be a better tourist, especially here in Porto?
As someone living in the city center, I would really appreciate if the people would keep in mind that there are people that has to get up in the morning and work. So party tourism is becoming more and more an issue. So that people are really noisy at 2 a.m, coming home from a bar, being totally drunk and screaming around. This is something that feels new. Whereas when I moved here 2 years ago, it wasn't that much. And I don't know if it's really this bachelor parties, hen parties, whatever, people. But yeah, there's some kind of party tourism, but it feels like Porto is not happy about that, and they try to stop it. So they just started this law that is not allowed to buy alcohol for takeaway after 9 o'clock in the evening. So it seems that they really try to stop it before it really starts. It's mainly that I mean, this walking slowly, it's a tourist thing. It's okay. It's annoying for the people living there, but it happens everywhere. And you can't tell the people, oh, please walk fast. No, they should enjoy the city. And just don't poke your finger in my eye when you, this happens sometimes when you're
pointing somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just turning around with the finger up and poking someone's eye. But except from this, just keep in mind that there are people having their normal life, having their problems, having their doctor appointments or their crisis or whatever. Not everyone is on holiday. And we need to sleep.
Yeah, totally agree. I feel like, the one benefit that we've found living downtown as well, like living more in the historic city center, is there's an energy from the tourists that I don't get annoyed with. Like I feel quite proud to be in a city that other people want to be in, because that means that there's something going on. There's something like special about it. Because as you were saying in your hometown in Germany, which truth be told, I've never visited, not 100% sure that I could locate it on a map. There's something about Porto where people want to visit, people want to be here. And that makes me feel very good to be living in a place that is as desirable as Porto.
Yeah, absolutely. I sometimes have it when I'm in this typical tourist places, Jardim do Moro or whatever, that I'm in the middle of this tourist and I feel like, oh, they all have to go home and I can stay here. And what I also have is sometimes I'm walking over the Ponte Luís Bridge or whatever, and I just think like this city is so incredibly beautiful, and I can't believe that I can live here. I mean, if it would be legal to just move here, everybody would.
Same.
So it still feels unreal sometimes that I'm actually allowed to live in this fantastic city, that I'm not forced to go home after my holidays.
That's awesome. Well, at Expats Everywhere, we believe that living abroad transforms lives. How has living abroad transformed your life?
I think it really opened up my horizon. I always lived more this kind of, better safe than sorry, better keep what you have, not reach out too far. And so, this is how it really changed, because my biggest fear before I moved here was always that I thought, but I'm in my 40s. How should I find new friends? So I always worried that, I have my great people here. And what if I move there and then I'm going to be lonely and no one will like me? And so that was a big fear I had. And the other big fear was the health system. For some reason, I always thought that in Southern Europe, the healthcare system is bad while it's good in Germany. And I was completely wrong with both of these things. So not only that my impression is that the healthcare system here is actually better than in Germany. They both have their problems, of course. The lack of staff in hospitals and so on. But for me personally, I had much better experiences here. Doctors, like how they treat me like a human, not like a file, and so on. But also, this finding friends. I just came here, and the expats and immigrants living here, they also have been so open and welcoming. It felt like there was a community waiting for me. Like, oh, hi, Nicoletta, welcome to Porto. We're your friends now. And this is what I then learned, that my two biggest fears I had before moving here, there was absolutely nothing to worry about that. And this helps me now to don't stop myself from silly fears.
Amazing. Well, you've definitely found your way here in Portugal, and long may that continue. Thanks so much, Nicoletta, for sharing your story today.
Thank you for inviting me to your podcast.